You want answers?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth!
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth!
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Hoorah! Radical Rant.
51 after the hour, and time to go out this weekend on a high note, so to speak. You know, we're talking a lot about Prop 19 here, and I've got a whole bunch of people contacting me that are very depressed about it. Oh, it's a big blow to legalization. It's the end of the world. Folks, this is a marathon, not a sprint, and the performance of Prop 19 is nothing short of phenomenal. We're talking about one guy, Richard Lee, who went against the advice of, I'll admit it, Normal, MPP, DPA, all the big organizations, went forth with $1.5 million of his own money, no backing from anyone else, none of the big money backing until the very last couple of weeks, laying a $1.5 million bet on legalization in 2010, a midterm election, an election with a depressed turnout of the youth, a depressed turnout of the liberals and the progressives who would naturally support, an energized turnout from the Tea Party, the Republicans, a repudiation of the Obama administration, and in the face of all of that, got 46.1% of the vote, got 3.4 million people to vote for legalization, and caused the entire nation and a lot of countries in the Western Hemisphere to take a look at marijuana legalization as a legitimate policy, not just some joke from pot-stained college professors and hippy-dippy utopians, but something that is a legitimate policy examination in the United States. We saw this leading to all of the specials on TBS and CNN and MSNBC and all of these PBS, excuse me, and Nat Geo, the Marijuana Inc. You have seen more about marijuana on the mainstream airwaves in the past year than you have seen in the past decade. Why? Because Richard Lee put down a bet, a $1.5 million bet on the people that we were ready for legalization. Now, mistakes were made. A lot of mistakes were made. I talked about some of them on yesterday's show. Trying to tackle drug testing at the same time as legalization, probably not a good idea. Not coming out with a clear way of identifying stone drivers, that might have scared people. The ambiguity about space and minors led a lot of people in our community to be afraid. Creating a new crime out of people 21 and over giving to people 18 to 20, that turns some people off. There are lessons to be learned here, and that's another reason why Prop 19 is such a success, is it gave us the opportunity to actually put legalization forth into the mainstream and to find out what works and what doesn't work. And that makes all the efforts for 2012 that much stronger. Now, speaking of efforts for 2012, I think California may not be the place we're looking for legalization in 2012, although I certainly encourage everyone in California to ride this momentum and put together another initiative for that state. But I think we ought to start taking a look at some other states where they might have some advantages California doesn't have. I'm beginning to think Massachusetts might be a prime place to look for marijuana legalization. One of the things we found in the California campaign is that there is a entrenched interest, let's say, in that the Prop 215 patients and the dispensaries and the people that are using medical marijuana in that state have become their own moneyed entrenched interest. And we saw a number of these dispensaries campaigning against Prop 19, and a number of people who've I've got's mine were afraid of losing their medical marijuana rights. Massachusetts does not have that problem. They do not have medical marijuana in the state of Massachusetts. Another way that Massachusetts might be a superior choice to California is a well-defined grassroots organized network of activists as compared to California, which is fairly chaotic and has been going on for so long, I mean all the way back to the 60s and 70s, that again there's these entrenched camps of certain people and their supporters, some cults of personality that have developed that make it difficult for all these disparate groups to come together and work toward a common initiative. We saw this in the people that supported the Jack Herer Initiative but they didn't like Prop 19. People who wanted to go with a different initiative other than Prop 19. Prop 19 supporters who can't get along with these people, and so forth. Those kind of problems exist out here in the West Coast and in California specifically, may not have the same sort of issue in Massachusetts. And that grassroots network there of MassCan, Normal, and those guys have also been going forth with local municipal measures, laying the groundwork for a statewide initiative. I mean, when you look at California, of course, it's got statewide medical marijuana, but leading up to statewide legalization, did we see individual cities passing resolutions and trying to get this on the ballot? No, but what we see in Massachusetts is when they were leading up to decriminalization, MassCan, Normal, and these other groups put together lots of these non-binding public policy questions that were symbolic, but they got the people used to the idea of voting on these things, and it showed the politicians where the support for, and us where the support for marijuana legalization lies. And after they followed up with those local ballot questions, they went forth with decriminalization and passed it with 65% of the vote, because in each of those little cities it was an opportunity to talk about the issue, work out the differences among the activists, find out what the concerns are amongst the people that would be voting for these things who aren't part of the choir, and to continue to improve those initiatives. Here this time in 2010, the folks in Massachusetts put out 73 different local public policy questions in different districts that reached 13.5% of the voters in the state of Massachusetts, and every one of them passed. There were public policy questions on medical marijuana as well as marijuana legalization, and every one of them passed. They have set up the local people in Massachusetts to get used to the idea of voting on marijuana, and it's a legitimate choice. It's something that someone might logically choose to do. Now, while Massachusetts may also be one of the best choices in 2012, let's not look past Colorado. Activists in Colorado are gearing up for 2012, and I think they've got a legitimate shot as well for a lot of the same reasons. They've set up a lot of local ballot initiatives, places like Nederland and Breckenridge and Denver that have voted on marijuana legalization. Although I fear Colorado may suffer some of those entrenched interests, like we've been talking about with California, some of the dispensary interests that might not be so keen on legalization. However, I do think Colorado does have more of a ethic toward freeing the weed than perhaps California does. I think California is a little more business oriented, where the Coloradans might have more of an activist bent. And of course, I can't end this rant without talking about my own home states in the Pacific Northwest, Washington and Oregon. Activists in Washington are looking forward for a battle in 2011, much less 2012. However, there are some issues between Washington's marijuana activists and the ACLU of Washington getting behind them. That was an issue for 2010, something they'll have to work out to try to come up with something that everyone can agree on in the Evergreen State. And here in Oregon, we've got activists that are pulling together for 2012 as well. They're smarting from losing that Measure 74 battle, but it brought together lots of coalitions here in Oregon that hadn't previously worked together. And I think they can build on that success and work toward legalization in 2012. So that's my opinion on 4 states other than California with a decent chance of legalization in 2012. But hell, let's get California in the mix too, and Alaska, and any state out there that wants to move toward legalization. That's where we're headed. That's the ultimate answer to prohibition. That's the ultimate answer for medical marijuana. It's time to legalize for everyone, even us healthy people. I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for tuning in this week, and thanks for giving us our greatest day, week, and month numbers ever here at Normal Show Live. Tell your friends we're here Monday through Friday, every weekday, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 4 p.m. Eastern. And until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is Normal Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.